Jax, can you unmute me? Super. Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome to Concordia University's ForSpace. Thank you for joining us today. There's a series of events under the title Concordia Global Learning Day, and it's a closer look at international learning opportunities at Concordia. But to help situate you, we're streaming to YouTube here in ForSpace, and we're located on unceded Indigenous lands in Tiohtià:ke, Montreal. Here at ForSpace, just so you know, we work with the university community. We try to mobilize knowledge with daily activities, examining research questions, looking closely at projects that are in development. We're running today as a live stream Zoom meeting, so any comments or questions in the chat for our friends online would be great. But for those of you in the space, if you'd like to participate in the question period, just let us know, raise your hand, we'll get a microphone to you. And with that, it's now my pleasure to pass the camera and the microphone to Alex Oster, Coordinator of Student Engagement at the Dean of Students Office. Alex.
All right, thank you, Doug. So welcome, everybody. I have the privilege of moderating this lovely, illustrious panel of celebrities here today. So I'll start off with a few questions, and then we'll move on into a more broader discussion, which everyone can be involved in. So excited to meet you all today. We don't have a specific running order, so definitely we'll kind of all pass it back and forth and as we go. But as the goal today is global learning, we'll ask you to maybe just introduce yourselves and your, degree program and kind of the international experiences that you've culminated so far. And we'll start over here with Christine, if you don't mind.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. My name is Christine, and I'm doing my master's in the art education program. And I went to the Mexico Sonic Visions Academy of Sound Art at the, oh man, I'm not gonna be able to say it in Spanish, but it's basically the Mexican Center for Music and Sound Art in Morelia. And yeah, that's what I did.
Right on, thank you. Andrew, you wanna go next?
Well, my name is Andrew Keleny. I went on a study semester abroad back in 2022 at France. I'm an aerospace engineering student. And then this last summer, I also went again to France to do an internship, also in the same country in France, in the south of France at Toulouse.
Right on, thank you, Andrew.
Hello, I'm Marco. I'm a Ph.D. student in film studies here, and I was in the Colombia Film School, and I'll tell you more about later.
Thanks, Andrew. Go ahead,
okay, my name is Jimmy Barco Burrors. I'm a Ph.D. student, building civil and environmental engineering here in Concordia. Thank you, Alex.
Right on. So I'll just clarify some of that because we have people who have done very different experiences abroad. So I'll just clarify some of them. So a field school is essentially where a host professor here at Concordia takes an entire class to an international location. So these are intensive, they're place-based classrooms where the location of the field school is itself the classroom. We have two people here did you do Mitacs as well? No, okay, so we have two people here who've also done the Mitacs program, so the Globalink Research Award. So this is an international program where we offer opportunities for senior undergraduate and graduate students to conduct short, so 12 to 24 week co-supervised research projects abroad. So we also welcome some of these students here from abroad and send students out. Our colleague Carolyn is definitely the best person to speak to if you're interested to know more about that. And there's also the Student Exchange program, which we have a few colleagues out in the stream as well, who can speak to that. Very excited to speak to you about that, where essentially you take a term or 2 terms of your Concordia degree at a host institution at one of 100 and how many countries? It's quite extensive. Yeah, 180 universities in 37 countries. So there are lots of opportunities. I'm going to drill down into some of the experiences of our panelists a little bit here. So I'll start with you, Jimmy. I guess I'd love to hear what do you think you gained the most from your experience kind of going abroad?
Okay, for me, my Mitacs Globalink Research Award was in Mexico too. For sure, first the food is delicious and the tacos were the most important. But now, seriously, I think like a Colombian. So for that reason, create network with my region is really, really, really important. That's the reason I traveled Mexico, not Europe or other country, because connecting Colombia with Mexico and South America is really important for us, okay? So here is try to solve the problem for the indigenous community in our country, like Mexico, Colombia, and other Venezuela. We have a huge region in this area, Amazonas region. It's the only big forest on the planet. For that reason, our research, that is the principal reason I traveled to Mexico, to understand how Mexico tried to solve the problem for the indigenous community. Because depending of the country, they have different cosmovision. They have a different point of view about the reality. So for me, it's really important. I know really well the indigenous community in Colombia for sure, but Mexico is totally different. So this is the most important thing for me. I'm a mechanical engineer. So for that reason, try to introduce this vision in my research, in my capacity to solve mechanical problem is really, really important. Is put this capacity for the indigenous community to solve all the problems that they have in this moment. That's it, Alex.
Amazing, thank you. Yeah, Marcos, do you want to maybe follow up to speaking some of the highlights of things that you feel that you personally have gained from your international experience?
Well, it's a different kind of program. Ours was very much an intense 10 days of learning and doing stuff. For me, it was particularly revealing because in my group, I was the only one who did was research-based rather than an artist in either electroacoustic or fine art or arts and design, etc., etc. So I'm not really used to do things, but to talk about what people criticize, basically other people. And so it was, for once, it was really interesting to be on the other side and see how also my skills as a researcher could be applied to help the work that we had to present at the end of a field school. So it was really like a way for me, I think for all of us, to really test our skills and our capacity to work together on specific project. And I think we did well. If you want to see some of our works, it's there on the table. We have a couple of performances that we recorded, so you can see what we did, basically.
Amazing, right on. And do you want to keep going? Maybe also speaking, I mean, many of you have multiple experiences abroad, but also maybe thinking about your international cooperative experience, right? In terms of your internship?
Well, for my internship, I just wanted honestly to try something new. I did 2 internships here. As I'm a COP student, I should have 3 internship semesters. So I did my first 2 here in Canada, and for the third one, I always wanted to try something new. So since I also had a study semester abroad,
right,
I was able to make some few connections thanks to the program. So it allowed me to come back to France again and to have this internship semester. And I wanted to see how is the work going there. It's something new to me. So that was the main goal. And that's why I mainly went again. And of course, I absolutely loved it.
Right. So you were able, in kind of the first international experience, making connections and meeting people, then following up in terms of finding an internship as well.
Of course, yeah. Well, when I went to study abroad first time, I was honestly like afraid in the beginning because I didn't knew anyone. But as it turns out, it was very helpful because it made like so many friends and connections. And thanks to these connections, I was able to go back again to do this internship, which I find very interesting project to do.
Amazing, thank you. And Christine, maybe if you want to round us off, just talking about some of the things that you've gained as you've gone abroad in your studies.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, just being immersed in the culture in Mexico was just a really fantastic experience. And being able to gain Latin perspective on contemporary music was also really enriching, especially in the context where sometimes in institutions, we can have this very, Eurocentric perspective on like who we're studying, who we're learning from. So being able to see like how much these Latin artists had contributed to the field was super insightful. I would also add that just forming the relationships with my peers was something that I didn't anticipate to the extent that I didn't realize like how close I would get with people in also like a 10-day span versus what I've been capable of in a 13-week course. We got much closer, and for myself having a collaborative practice, it's really great to form those relationships, as well as forming relationships with the people at the host institution and knowing that they are always accepting ongoing residency applications. So there's always the potential to possibly return and do more work there. So yeah.
Amazing.
Lots was gained.
Right on. I think one thing I'll underline that you've all mentioned in different ways, whether by joking about tacos or talking about different work and relationship experiences, is how immersive these can be, right? So you're leaving your home institution, which has its own pedagogy and academic culture, and going to another country. So yes, of course, in class or in the academy, you have an immersion, but also that immersion doesn't end when you leave the classroom, right? So I mean, I'll stick with you, Christine, if you don't mind. Maybe you've spoken about some of the good things, but what were some of the obstacles in planning for or executing at travel abroad and trip abroad, and how did you overcome them?
Yeah, I mean, there's always like the financial aspect, there was a few opportunities through the school that I'm super grateful I was able to have, but there's also the, making sure that I have some pesos some Mexican pesos to take out before getting there, to have cash on hand. And like, what am I going to pack? Like, what is the weather going to be like? Just more of those logistical things. And then also, as to be able to be doing an artistic practice in another country, what am I able to bring? Like I really only had room for my laptop and like a Zoom recorder. So, I was pretty impressed with my roommate, brought all of these really cool like radio transmitting devices in his carry-on. I was quite impressed. So, there's some limitations to having to like transplant your practice to another place and travel by airplane. So,
Right on.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, Andrew, I'll pass it to you. Similarly, what were either, again, for the exchange or for co-op, what were some of the obstacles that you perceived and how did you overcome them?
Well, I believe that the hardest part in the beginning was just going all alone, because I was supposed to actually to go study abroad with a friend, but as it turns out, he was not able to come with me after all. So just going alone, it was a little bit challenging because I never lived also alone. I've been always living with my parents. So just to have my own place and do the small things that you don't think about in a way. You do like a small grocery, you do the laundry, like it's like some easy stuff, but like your stuff I wasn't thinking of. So it was a little bit challenging for me in the beginning, but as it turns out, it was pretty cool. Now I'm so used to it in a way. So even when I'm back home, I always help at home now in so many things. I think it made my mom proud.
Yeah, I'm thinking as well, like of my son and daughter. I'm like, okay, they should do an exchange.
And then, I'm very thankful for the experience, and it's not a challenge after all. Like now, the second time when I went again abroad to do my internship, I feel like I kind of grew up in a way. I was able to manage my own self in an easier way. So that's from my side.
Right on. Thank you. Marcus, do you want to follow up? Maybe some of the things obstacles that you perceived and then how you overcame them?
But the obstacles weren't many. Like it's the usual now. It's the cost, but not of the summer school itself or of the day-to-day there, but the plane. But Concordia International also gave us the opportunity to apply to like some bursaries for travel, so a little bit of the cost came back, but not really like to personally, like I think I started in the worst possible way the summer school. Oh, sorry, because I fell and twisted my wrist in the very first day, and yet it was still like a great experience because even when you are in like in a difficult position, a situation there, it's people are always like within the university that hosted us, or Ricardo that was accompanying us and organized all of this. They were all very forthcoming in helping, and in general, that's it. I like, logistically speaking, there weren't problems at all, I would say. So, you know, it's just the same, you know, you need to be just in the mindset of, you know, you're going a place that you're not used to be. Like, we were in Bogota. Bogota is huge compared to Montreal, with a lot of different people, a lot of different places. So you kind of have to be a little bit aware that you're not at home and things work differently there. But apart from that, you know, it's I think like I'm very surprised at how smooth all of it was.
Right on. Well, and I'll finish it off with you, Jimmy. I mean, what were some of the obstacles to your journey that you perceived and then hopefully overcame?
Okay. I think the same, the logistic, financial, alone sometime. But for me, especially the spicy food was really difficult. Oh my God. So the rest, I think the different culture, academic culture, Mexico. Oof, it's okay now. Okay. So this different in the academic culture. If you compare Colombia, Europe, Australia, Africa, with Canada and Mexico, you can feel the huge difference. So that's really, really important. Try to first understand the feeling about this culture first, and then try to adapt in that way to create a good network. That was the challenge. Try to think a lot, okay, what is the best way to talk with the director, rector of this university, and try to concrete a good alliance with my project. Try to explain, try to give my ideas. For sure, in Mexico, it's mandatory, the beer, for sure, a lot of first, and then you can concrete any project. So that change is really, this challenge was really important, because now I have more capacity to understand the multiple ways to do research in many countries on the world. That's it.
Amazing. Thank you. I'll underline as well that there are lovely people in the LB atrium who'd love to talk to you about Quebec mobility bursaries, as well as other funding opportunities and support logistically in terms of how to get from here to where you'd like to go. I have kind of a final question as well in terms of our, as I said, illustrious panel. I think you're seeing now why. You know, for those in the audience who are maybe considering going abroad, I guess maybe something that surprised you, or maybe, you know, advice, having done it, what would you do differently, or how would you change in your approach to do it again? So maybe Marcos, I'll start with you. I'll just switch up the order a little bit. Maybe something that you would do differently if you were to go abroad again.
Well, the thing I would do differently is use another pair of shoes, because that was my literal my downfall the first day. But apart from that, I don't know. Like I would say this. I was much more worried before I was there about the possibility of doing all the work that was expected to us there, because it's 10 days, and I know, Christine, probably you had the same, like, it's packed with lectures. You also experience the city, like you go here and there and do stuff. You have to work on your own project, etc. But once you're there, everything kind of works out in a way, because at a certain point you have to find the time. And so it's basically, the thing is that it's easy to get overwhelmed before because of all the things that you are, that it's written you will do, but it's actually very, very, very manageable in a way. So it's 10 days, you will feel all of them, but it's gonna be a good feeling in the end.
Right on. Thank you. Maybe Andrew, I'll pick on you next. Like, I guess, what would you do differently if you were to go abroad again?
Well, I think the best advice would honestly to be just like to throw yourself in a way, like just to travel a lot more. Like if I go back, honestly, I was a little bit more lucky because I stayed for longer durations than 10 days. I stayed the first time for roughly 6 months. And then for my internship, I stayed for 4 months. So I was lucky to stay for a long duration. So I would honestly like travel more often and in a way not to think about too much about other things, just like throw yourself into the action and then things like you're gonna learn good things and you're gonna experience new things. So the best thing is just to go. Like the best advice honestly is just honestly to go for it and this experience is gonna change lots of things in yourself and it helps a lot honestly. Like I feel like me personally, the experience of studying abroad and working abroad, it changed like things in me, and I feel like it allowed me to again to grow up and it's worth it after all.
Right on. And maybe Jimmy, if you wanted to follow up, maybe something that, again, if you were to go abroad on the same project or on another project, what would you do differently or how would you approach it differently?
Okay. First, you don't need 5 choose for research trip. With one is enough. So be comfortable first. I think understand in better way the culture. That is really important. Outside of the research atmosphere, we have the beautiful opportunity to understand how they solve a lot of problem, understanding the normal day, the day of the day. Yeah, it's like okay, they feel this I don't know, this reality in that way, and then copy that way and use this new way to solve your own problem. It's like hey, please go to the real culture and then learn a lot. It doesn't matter 10 days or 6 months. It's open of that experience. I think it's flow with the culture. It's like a first flow with the culture. Other point is the only thing that you have in that moment is your own culture. Don't copy other, like in my case, I'm Colombia, okay? I travel Mexico, doesn't matter, Europe. I need to show Colombian style, yeah? Don't copy African or European or nothing. You, yourself in any moment. So that is really important. And that's it, please.
Right on. Yeah, last word here. Actually, I'll grab that mic because we'll move to the Q&A shortly. But Christine, if you want to give us your, what would you do differently or how would you approach it differently if you were to go abroad again?
Yeah, I mean, something I would do for myself that I would say isn't necessary, but if you wanted to, go that extra step to make it even more worthwhile, I would have maybe spent time prior looking up the different artists and professors that were going to be speaking with us, just doing a little background check, maybe thinking about how their practice might align with mine, and maybe even come up with a question, just so I'm, maybe have a little bit of that context going into that encounter to be able to, apply it to my own practice like more quickly, just because of how intense it all is with the 10 days. Another would be a similar thing with my peers, especially in the context of this field school. We were invited to collaborate with one another. And I think being able to have taken some time to myself to familiarize myself with my peers' artwork and practices could have given me a little bit of that jump start to think about like who I might want to collaborate or even get some inspiration on what direction the project would be going in. But again, that would be kind of like a little bit of extra work on my end prior. But I think it could potentially make the experience a little bit more focused and aligning it more with my own practice.
Amazing. Well, thank you. So yeah, we're going to open it up to the floor for any questions you may have for the panel. As you formulate your questions, I'm just going to underline a few things you said that I think really struck me and resonated with me. In each your own ways, you talked about transformation, right? About kind of how you went into the experience and how you came back as being very different, right? By encountering different academics, different peers, different culture, different food, and overcoming those obstacles that you encountered, you came back having created space through your experience to transform. So I think that's amazing. And I think the other thing I would underline is that we often need discomfort to learn, right? It's if you're encountering only the same problems, the same information, and the same approaches, you're not really going to grow and learn, right? So I think that was something that came through in a lot of your comments as well. So thank you. Yeah, so we have a mic and we're happy to pass it around. I don't know how people wanted to indicate or, oh, here's Jacqueline with oh, you got the mic there. So we'll share this one up here. But yeah, maybe just if you want to raise your hand and Jacqueline will come with a mic. No.
I'm curious, during your time abroad, did you make any connections with either other peers or like mentors that you still have to this day? And what have those collaborators potentially done in terms of helping you with your artistic path or whatever path? Sorry, we're art students, that's my brain, but with your path in general.
Yeah. So Marcos or Christine, I guess, if from the fine arts perspective, if there were specific people you met or stayed in touch with? Yeah.
Well, yes, actually, my goal for the summer school was to get there to meet people, to meet academics from various Colombian universities, because my research is on Colombian cinema. So I wanted to see, and one of the places where we went is the Cinematheque there. So, and actually, while I did not make any connection with people in my fields, I made a lot of connection with people that are doing design, arts, and stuff like that, and I found that all these people were very generous about giving me when we got to talk and say, oh yes, I would like to come back here for research and blah blah blah. They were all super nice and super helpful with information and stuff, and we are still in contact, through these months. But on top of that, the summers, we were part, Concordia and some UCAM students as well were part of the summer school, but we also worked with students from the universities in Bogota, like the Tadeo Lozano and Universidad del Bosque. So even that peer relationship was great and was useful. And I think like one of the students who is we met there and was kind of also our guide is actually now here. So it's nice also to not just be able to get help for your own stuff, but also to be able to help in case there is, some students, some academic want to come here to either live or study or present their work and stuff like that. So yes, connections, they'll stay, I guess.
Yeah, so the field school I attended was just about 2 months ago, so it's still pretty fresh. I would say that I've definitely formed relationships with some of my peers, and we've stayed in contact, shared different events that are happening here in Montreal. And there's also been discussion about potential collaborations. With the timeline, nothing has come to fruition yet, but I do imagine like that these things could develop over time. And I think I mentioned previously about the ongoing residencies that are possible at the host institution that I'll likely apply to, but probably focus on getting work done at Concordia first. But an artistic practice is such like a long-term career. So I think that just in the last couple of months, like building those foundations, having those contacts will likely lead into more things down the road.
And if our brave first questioner doesn't mind, I'll reframe a little bit as well, because I know when we met originally, you had spoken, Andrew, about kind of how you had made connections at first and it led to the second experience. Did you maybe want to expand on that at all?
Yeah, of course. Well, it always helps when you go abroad to like connections, you're gonna be connection anyway, because you're gonna meet people. Like you're not gonna go there and live alone. You're gonna, of course, meet new people. So you're gonna keep in contact with them. And I was just telling you lately, like actually one of my friends, she just came this last week from all the way from Portugal to Montreal to see me, and we spent the entire weekend here, and it was pretty fun. So it's like not only connections, you can even like develop some friendship in a way, and it's something important to be able to have friends from lots of places too. So, yeah.
And if our correspondent will allow, Jimmy, if you don't mind, I know you had spoken about kind of the different approaches to similar problems. So in thinking from a research perspective as well, where a discipline is something that is a global commons, right? I guess maybe what were some of the connections or possible collaborations that you found by going abroad?
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Now we have an important project in Colombia. So this project connect again all the indigenous necessity of these countries, Colombia, Mexico, and Canada. So the plan with this Mitacs, thank you. So the plan with this Mitacs Research Award was connect the principal team in Guanajuato University with Ursula Aker, my supervisor here in Concordia, and try to connect the necessity. First, so for sure, is share professor-student research in the end. Articles, for sure, is mandatory, the article. But in the end, is share financial support for this project. So now we have a big team, like 20 alliance between many countries. So to support this Ecolab Nisana in Bogota, Colombia, so the capital. We have the important botanical garden in Bogota. So the plan is try to solve all the demands using the necessity of the indigenous community in Colombia, Mexico, and Canada. So that's it.
Amazing, thank you. Other questions? You were too illustrious. You told it all. Yeah.
Hi everyone, my name is Hawa. I work at Concordia International. I would love to know, because when we talk about international experience as a student, many people talk about the different barriers and the challenges in order to access to it. So I would love to know what type of supports did you have in order to be able to seize these opportunities. Thank you.
Okay, I want to start, Alex.
Yeah, go for it.
I think here I use this time to say thank you for sure, Caroline, Julio, Alex, for all the support of the student here in Concordia. It's really, really important. Have good people behind you, support all the application, everything. So secondly, for sure, the institution, Concordia and Mitacs. And finally, you supervisor believe in your crazy ideas and support this travel, this opportunity. So you need to connect with all of them and then try to, to receive this good support to present your ideas in this platform. That's it.
Well, yes, I just you already said everything, so I will not repeat. But yes, it's the support is there from the beginning. We were especially in contact with Maral from Concordia International, and of course Professor Dalfarra, who gave us all the information we needed through this famous/infamous WhatsApp group that he created immediately. So I would say that the support is there from the start. There is for the summer school in particular, there is a very in-depth information meeting, a couple actually before we go, and then both Maral and Ricardo were always very forthcoming with their answering our questions. And we, I mean, I know I had a lot, but all of us, we had several of them, especially about funding and stuff like that. So I think it's that part felt really well. I felt from the beginning that we were in good hands, basically. Sorry.
Well, from my side, I found that, well, the entire process, honestly, it's not too easy. It's like a long process. There's lots of paper needed to be completed, but honestly, I was very lucky to deal a lot with Mrs. Paulina. She was helping me out through the entire process. Like, we're exchanging so many emails, and the process, again, is not so short, but in the end, it's all worth it. And Concordia itself, it helps a lot to facilitate it in a way. And also there's a bursary program, so it can, of course, support us financially, which is a great program, and you can also take advantage of it.
Yeah, so as was mentioned, the financial support definitely helps. There's the Quebec Mobility Grant and the Peter and Thompson Field School Award, which I think is fine arts specific. And yeah, and then again, what was mentioned, like with the pre-meetings with Morale and Ricardo, and just like all the extra work I imagine there must be in order for our experience to actually count as 3 credits towards our degree, I think was also a huge, a huge reason why I decided to do it. And I guess, what was the other thing I was thinking of? Oh yeah, I also just wanted to give a shout out to all of my peers and their amazing Spanish language skills. Mine are muy poquito, so I think that's another support. Like once you're in another place, just if you have some buddies that speak the language, it can be really helpful.
Yeah. So I'll underline a few things, and yeah, got you. So I think definitely speaking to the good people at Concordia International, the exchange program where you're doing a term or 2 terms abroad for your Concordia degree. There are regions of the world, and each region has a specific person that will help you navigate to find the host. In terms of ensuring that the work that you do abroad counts towards your degree, definitely being in communication with your department. Right? That frontline person at your department is going to be really helpful in terms of you navigating to who to speak to, how to get the academic advice you need, and then putting in some of the work to find, right, what are the corresponding courses and credits here that you can take abroad. Yeah, a question.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for all the effort put and the success that we're seeing in our field schools year after year. I would like to take the opportunity to thank also Christopher, has done a great job with me in close collaboration with the Faculty of Fine Arts when we're planning our field schools. Thank you for mentioning Concordia International. We're there to help our students and the faculty members for all the work.
I think we have time for one more question. If there is a burning question, now's your chance. Often when facilitating, we say step up or step back. If you're not used to hearing your voice, step up. We're here for it. But if not, we're going to be hanging around after as well. There's going to be another panel after featuring faculty members. And there are lots of panels and booths out in the LB atrium. So do check those out in terms of different ways that you can get involved and take your learning abroad. I will pass it back to Jacqueline, who's going to close us off, I believe, or Doug.
Yeah, it'll be me. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Alex. Thanks, everyone, for coming in for this. We're going to be closing up the Zoom. We're closing up the live stream also. But please stick around for the panel following. From a faculty perspective, the value of global experiential learning will be starting at 1 o'clock. And of course, the tabling is happening in the space. You should definitely check that out, and also in the atrium. Okay, thanks, everyone.